What's up, Blurbs? Welcome back to another episode of Blur the Lines. Today we dive into the interesting world of finances. Make sure to stay tuned till the end, where Yvonne and I go a little bit off the rails with our commentary.
We will discuss the books Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So grab a drink, sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode.
Alright, you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it. Welcome to our SantaCon special.
With the holiday season approaching, we decided to get a little festive today.
Yeah, what's up?
Yvonne, are you, is that a Fortnite costume?
Honestly, it could probably be.
It looks like one.
Uh,
It definitely straight up looks like a skin out of
This
Fortnite.
was last year's SantaCon costume. Me and a bunch of friends all dressed up as gingerbread man, and we raided the SantaCon as gingerbread man. So,
Oh man! All right, this episode we're drinking the.
sponsored by.
If there's any alcohol beverages that want to sponsor us, be opposed. The Butterfly Effect, the 2021 Chardonnay, and the candle that we will be sniffing on tonight is it Winter Flannel? Winter.
Yeah.
All right,
Panels on. Get going.
let's get it going.
This week we spent some time looking into finances. So, what we're trying to do is go about read a different topic every week. About what we feel like the author is saying or presenting, or how we interpret it. Like, again, just be word. None of this is per se exactly what the author said or what is written in the books. It's just kind of something we took out of it, and we did, having crammed it in a week. So today I did Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Very, very interesting book. I thought it will be a little bit more about like how to plan your finances and like strategies growing rich. So I thought it will be more about like assets and how to set up savings accounts or anything of that typical, like this is how people get rich, buy property, things like that. Like practical advice. It was none of that.
No?
Like none of that.
Huh.
Which was pretty cool. It seemed to be like was really well researched, but more of practical advice that think and grow rich.
Yeah.
I don't know. How was yours?
It was okay. Again, I kind of thought it was going to be more geared toward how, like a kind of straight and narrow, how do people get rich, and here are some tips. It did have
Wait,
some.
just give us
Oh yeah,
I
I forgot to even say what I read. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. If I'm saying that wrong, let me know. But basically, it's about a kid who has his dad, and his dad's a teacher, and he goes to a rich school. Him and his friend didn't get invited to a party because they were considered poor kids, and so he asked his dad, "What do I do about this? Like, we're poor. We need to be rich." And what his dad suggested was he go talk to one of his friend's dads, who was rich and had a much different outlook on life. So the whole book is about a rich dad's approach to finances, their approach to living life, and like you said, I was expecting more a straight and narrow. Here's how to make money. It wasn't like that. It was more philosophical And one thing I didn't really like about it, it was pretty repetitive, and also, I don't know, they didn't give a lot of examples. Like in 7 Habits that we talked about last week, they gave a lot of examples of the habit that they were talking about. In this, it was, okay, assets are good, liabilities are bad, move on.
Okay.
So for someone who's new, they might not understand that as much.
Back on your, I think our books are actually very similar. Throughout Think and Grow Rich, basically has this 6 or 7 steps that he repeating, but he places it in different aspects the whole.
Yeah.
So like, I'll get into the steps a little bit later, but it's repetitive way that you're describing. But this guy is writing about, he surveyed 500 multimillionaires or successful people, interviewed many, and speaks a lot about like Harrison Ford and like inventors like Thomas Edison, things like that. And he tries to apply the same type of concepts over and over and over again. But throughout the book, he actually says, the preface of the book literally says, do not read this book in one go, read one chapter at a time. Which unfortunately I did. Yeah, so he's like, take some time, digest, talk about it with. A lot of what we're doing right now was actually in the preface of the book, was kind of interesting. I was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get on the right track.
Yeah.
But coming back to those topics and repetitive, as like major outlined topics, which all basically include strategy. There's this formula that was like invented by Carnegie, not Dale, the brother. I forgot. Andrew Carnegie. Yeah, Andrew Carnegie. So Andrew Carnegie developed this formula for how to get rich. And yeah, just as a preface on the styles of the yeah, the like repetitiveness, whatever you just described was basically the same thing.
I mean, I think in some ways it's good. It sounds like the way that who is the author of your book? Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
The way that he prefaced the book with, digest some of this, talk about it with someone so that you can retain it even better and understand better, is a little bit different than this book in that sense, because I think he's repeating it because it might have gotten overlooked in an earlier chapter.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention. He says he doesn't give you the exact formula. It's your discovery of the formula when it comes to you. When you spend enough time thinking, it will come to you. And when it comes to you, it will make a significant impact on you that you will just follow the train of thought or follow the formula and you will get rich. So he says it's
interesting.
It's not something that like a teacher in history class could teach you, or a math teacher could say A equals B squared plus C squared. It is your discovery of the formula that is gonna be taught if you digest this book.
Okay, that's very similar to the first chapter of it.
Yeah, that was the author's notes.
Huh.
Like before the book ends.
Interesting.
Before how similar this is.
Yeah, before I get into that, do you think that you've found the formula? Or like, do you think that it's hit you in the past and you didn't realize it because you didn't know you were looking for it?
I don't think I'm there yet. I think if maybe take those book like chapter by chapter,
Yeah.
starting to feel the essence or smell the essence of the formula, I kind of feel like I'm starting to understand.
I wonder if this book talks about the formula without being that book. Like my book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I wonder if it speaks to the same formula but doesn't call it that. Like the first chapter in this talks about the kid and his friend, who I said didn't get into the party because they were part of poor kids. And so they go and work for the other kid's dad. And the other friend, Mike is his name. So Robert and Mike go to work for Mike's dad. And he says, you work 3 hours every Saturday and I'll give you 10 cents an hour. This was a long time ago. So, like a comic book was 10 cents in the book, like in the timeline. That's wild. So 10 cents still wasn't a lot, but it was still worse than minimum wage now. But the essence of it is they're working for such little money, and the point of it is make money work for you, don't work for money. So the idea that the dad is trying to put into the kid's head is, if you enjoy this and you want to do this, I'll give you a raise. I'll pay you $3 an hour, $2 an hour, $5 an hour. And the kids are like, oh, I want that really bad. But they hold off because he says, if you want to just work 3 hours, I'll give you the money and you can go home and go buy your comic books, go buy video games, whatever you want to do, you can go do it. And it speaks to the everyday 9 to 5. Like, you can go to work, you can get paid, and then go buy what you want with that. Or, he says, or I'm going to pay you nothing, and I want you guys to figure out and look into the world, figure out how to make money. And so they end up taking the deal.
That seems a little
unfair. They're only 9 years old too. It's a crazy lesson to learn at 9 years old.
So they ended up working for no money.
They worked for no money.
Why would you work then? Why would you go out and...
To take the opportunity to learn rather than to just do a job. So they ended up working for nothing. And what they find is this woman who works for the school. She tears up comic books and gives them back to gives the title back to the supplier or the vendor or something.
Cover page.
Yeah. And so what they ended up doing was taking those comic books and talking with the vendor and saying, hey, can we take these? And they said, you can't sell it. You can't resell it because that's illegal. And so what they did was they opened up their own comic book shop. And so they'd charge kids 10 to 15 cents to come in for 2 hours. And they can read as many comic books as they want. And so the kids would come in easily because what they say in the book is one comic book was 10 cents and these kids could read 5 or 6 in an hour. So they're getting their money's worth. But now the kids keep their shop open and they're making way more than 10 cents an hour, $5 an hour. Like, they're making a lot of money. And
as a 9-year-old?
As a 9-year-old. So they started their own business as a 9-year-old because they had that eye now. I need to make money somehow. And I'm not getting paid to do this work. I'm getting paid to learn, to figure out how to make money work for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's something that, like, personally, I try to, but I don't put enough effort.
Yeah, because, well, at least the reason that this guy says is because we work 9 to 5. We work a 9 to 5 job that pays us, and we're like, I can buy stuff with this. This is cool. And it's kind of just, yeah, cool. I'll have a 401k when I'm done, and that's cool. But
just quit. That's
what this book is telling me to do. Just just quit and never look back. And if I can't make it, then I'll just be out on the streets. Or what's most likely going to happen is I'll quit and I'll become a millionaire.
Most likely.
Most likely. Because I read this book, so I know.
Jeez. No, that's definitely take out of the book.
Mm-hmm.
You said that's the first chapter.
That's the first chapter.
Oh my god. So like, honestly, I don't know what the dad's point was, making the kids still work. But I guess the opportunity comes from working there. Comics.
Yeah, I mean that was the idea. Was don't settle for the mundane of, okay, you're gonna come to work for 3 hours. You're just gonna. They were paid to dust off produce. Like the dust would come in from the parking lot, get on the produce, and they would dust it off for 3 hours every Saturday. So they were like, you could come in do this mind-numbing work, or you could come in and think about how you can make money and have fun doing it, and that grew to be the addiction of I want to make money. I want to figure out a new way.
I'm more interested about this rich dad you're saying. Does he like give any other advice? How does he was he guiding the kids, or was it a once-off thing? If they decided to sell comics, they're on there.
No, they got shut down like 3 months later because some like bullies came in and started a fight, and their dad was like, yeah, you should probably just shut it down.
Close it up.
Yeah. But the big thing was the poor dad wanted his kid to go to college, get a good education, and get a good stable job. And they repeat that over and over again. A good stable job, good stable job. But what the rich dad is you need to take risks, right? And he wanted to teach them that at a young age. Was take risks and understand what money is and what it can do for you. Because like if you make more money, typically 95% of people will spend more money.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's
true.
I know it's true. I know it's true. And that's a big problem with things. So if you get a raise, what are the odds that you go out and buy a new car or a new computer or something of that nature?
New camera.
And that's it. It's a liability at that point. Yeah, and you're making 60,000 and you're spending more than you did when you made 40,000. Whereas, you should be putting that stuff aside and using that excess money to make you more money, rather than just, I make more money, I'm going to spend more money. And it's part of that that thought process that he's trying to instill on these kids at a young age.
Yeah. Definitely buy that.
No, not at all. But I do have interesting points about it. But.
If you are buying asset, I mean, in this day and time, I feel like an asset, I interpret like a stock as kind of do that, but like everyone invested in 500. Doesn't until recently feel like really does anything.
Yeah, and he talks exactly to that, to the stock market and investing. He talks a lot about what most people do and what the rich do. So what most people do is invest in ETFs, let it ride, and they'll see growth. But they're not going to get 100% return on investment. They're not going to get $1 million from just doing that. And he says that if you have a small amount of money and you're trying to start investing, invest in individuals, small individuals. He speaks to he likes to invest in startups, small businesses.
Yeah.
But he says, invest in individual stocks or something of that nature, rather than putting a small amount into a lot of different stocks or an ETF or a mutual fund or something like that, because you're not going to make any money. You may make money, but it's really not that much in the grand scheme of things. Whereas if you have a small amount, you might want to take that risk and spend it in one that maybe you think is gonna go big. But
I on that note, my experience, I think by the time that a stock ready to invest
from a startup standpoint,
no, as individual, because they first have to be on the market. They're past startup phase. So
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. A startup, once they become public, is too late.
So it's too late to individually invest. A different thing. So a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking as a venture capitalist, and he was describing to me how the investors of the venture capitalist, if they invest money, their expected return on investment within 3 years is 40 to 60% per year.
Wow.
That's crazy. We are sitting here on like our investing apps, and we're excited about our 13-15%. But
yeah,
the adventure capitalists, so small companies like what we worked for, they basically have to hit 40 to 60%. That's
of their investors' money.
Of their investors' money. So they basically have to be evaluated 40 better every than 3.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
But that speaks to it. I mean, like, owning something, being a business owner or an investor that's way more likely to make you real money than just working a 9 to 5, hoping for the next raise, hoping for the next promotion. Yeah. And then you go out and buy a new car, you go out and buy a new house, and it's like, well, I haven't really saved a lot of money.
Yeah, no.
That's crazy though. 40 to 60%.
That's in South Africa.
Oh,
but
I mean,
it's still venture capitalism.
Yeah, I don't know what it is here. I watch a lot of Shark Tank, but
yeah, but they they were technically also venture capitalists.
Yeah.
But the thing with venture capitalists, it's not passive. When you're in
you're invested.
Money,
like
you're invested.
Yeah, like they work with them to get marketing up, go to get into retail, move online stores, build revenue, build up operations. Like, they're definitely involved, and it's definitely not passive. But your ROI that you're speaking to is probably a lot higher.
Yeah. But you have a much likelier chance. Like 1 out of 3 businesses that didn't make it past 5 years.
Yeah.
Or
I'm not surprised.
Someone found this statistic and commented somewhere. It's something close to that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So we basically just have to start 4 businesses.
Yeah, and then
we'll be good. We'll make it.
No, but it does get you thinking about, like,
just 4.
How
just 4.
Well, it gets you thinking, like, how can I make more money without working for someone else. Like I don't like the problem is working for someone else.
Yeah.
Find a way that you can work for yourself
Yeah.
and build revenue that way, because that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Or based on the book. Again, this is not a financial advice podcast. We don't claim that we know anything, and we're not giving any advice on finances or how to get rich. So don't take it that way.
Let's throw it over to Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
So, what you just described to me, very practical advice, as opposed to the.
Really? It's
Yeah.
more theoretical?
So, it's when I first read the title "Think and Grow Rich," like, I didn't read it as think, and by thinking you will grow rich. I don't know how I perceived it, but that is basically what this title is about. So like it is five main points of topic that it discusses. I wrote down the first one is it is what you think that matters. So basically what this goes into, he spends a lot about time talking about thinking, time to think, creative thinking versus other thinking, mundane thinking, and thinking positively, thinking you are gonna be rich, stuff like that. Like you gotta think like a rich man to be a rich man. So you can't tell yourself, oh my gosh, I'm poor.
But do they say, not to cut you off, but like, do they say how a rich man actually thinks? Like, is it possessive, like in a possessions way? Because that could be dangerous.
Let me just like go through the first.
All right.
It repeats, and then we'll get to it. The second main thing that I got from this is, you need a burning desire. So this is kind of what I would formula these. And so if you have a burning desire, the third thing that you need to be is like an unstoppable. So this comes to like, you need to keep doing. There's like retaliating if something comes up. You need to keep pushing, working. Then a really big part, it's towards the end of the book, speaks about the greatest motivational energy is sexual energy.
Like, don't have sex?
No, he says that is, he describes it as there's different forms of sexual energy. Super interestingly, he said in his study, he found that most men only started becoming rich after 35, 40 years of age.
Because you stop having sex.
Yeah. So he says there's other like sexual motivation, and so if like a pretty woman walks in the room while you're playing a sport.
Oh, yeah. Or at least you try to. You try to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's like there's different aspects of sexual energy. Let me just page to it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But he says that the men overuse the expression of sexual energy in physical aspect. So a physical expression of sexual energy up until their 40s. But yeah, the other thing he
and then after it's more mental. After 35, 40, it's more mental.
There's mental, there's other things, like I said, the sports, like it's almost like peer pressure, that's still sexual energy. But just on that topic too, mentions that out of the most people he didn't study, and it's like 500 pretty big people he really like hears and investigate. He says that most of the men had a wife that basically pushed them as they got rich.
Like, push them to go further?
He said it's the corruption of power. So when they become really rich and powerful, or they don't know how to handle the power and they get corrupt, or they would lose their wives, i.e., get divorced and like get a younger wife. But in most of the cases, they would like fall. They would like crash and burn. Which is like quite interesting. I don't know. And then the last big thing he talks about is the ghost of fear. So you need to find, or you need to know what the ghosts of fear, the different fears are, and you need to basically combat them or talk against them and identify them so that you can steer away from them. They come
What's an example of a ghost of fear?
He says the fear of poverty.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
Is a big one. So people are too afraid to be poor, and what happens is, so this comes back, it's what you think that matters. You're too afraid to be poor. So you think, I can't be poor, I have to make money. Like, I'm scared of being poor, I need to get a job so I'm not poor.
Yeah.
That they don't think about, I need to be rich, I need to build a business, I need to do this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, is people, and they talk about it a lot in this book towards the end of the book, is that thought process of, I can't afford this. And so it's a problem of, okay, I need to get some another job or something, so I can't afford it. But the rich man is, how can I afford this? And it's multiple different thoughts of, okay, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. It's logical thinking about ways to make money and ways to get this. Sometimes it's for free. Like, if you need new AirPods or something, how can you get this? This example is just on the spot. They didn't mention this in the book, but
AirPods back when,
when
magazines were 10 cents.
Yeah. But if you need new AirPods or something, you need to think of a way, how can I get these? Okay, I either need to make more money or I need to make them cheaper too. Like, you could find a coupon, you could bargain someone for them. They talk a lot about bartering, like going back to the old days of bartering versus money. Because they say in the book, like, money's fake. And I love that.
Yeah, money is fake.
Money is fake. It's so fake. Like, I don't know. They just decided, oh, we're going to print all this paper, and then I'm going to give you it, and you have power now. I give you paper, and you have power. Somehow, some way, you have power over these people, and it makes no sense. And now we feed off of it, and I don't know. It's a big problem.
Yeah. So, like, that fear of poverty, I feel like I've seen that come up. Yeah, I need to get a good job. I can be.
Yeah.
Like, I looking back, I can see there's some of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's always been that. I mean, just when I was younger, I was like, okay, I never want to be in debt. I never want to struggle to buy groceries. I never want to, like, I need to make money somehow, some way, and I got to get a job. And, like, that's why I went into...
When was your first job?
My first job ever, I was working construction.
Okay.
Yeah, 15. Yeah. I worked with my dad, so staying in the family, but it was something. It was some way to make some extra cash, and it was good as a 15-year-old. And like the 9-year-olds in the book, like 10 cents. Oh yeah, I'm $5 an hour. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. So it was just some way to make money and be able to do that.
Going back to this, the other ghosts.
What was yours?
Huh?
What was your first job?
I like a bunch of random. Side hustle.
Like raking leaves and.
So I was
Stuff like that.
I was in high school. No, I didn't really rake leaf anything back in Africa. But like there would be events and work at them.
Hmm.
But yeah, nothing like.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the next fear, which also I think is a big one, especially our day, is fear of criticism.
Yep.
So
These books are similar.
it's kind of crazy, right? Like
Back-to-back weeks too. Like they're very similar, just different in their approach.
yeah. So the fear of criticism, I feel like he explained as, you come to worry what you think about when you fail.
Yeah.
Like if you fail, what are people going to about you? Or if you go out and sell apples, people are gonna think you're not doing well and you're selling apples, so you must be struggling
Yeah.
because you don't have a real job, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just in this day and age, so it's like this fear of criticism remain poor, basically.
Or remain like mundane. Really.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, oh, he's got a job. Okay, cool. But oh, he's doing something that's out of the ordinary or different. Ugh.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's risky. Why are you doing that?
I actually think in our day and age, this one is probably one of the most prominent this right now. Like,
Do you think it's just our day and age, or I feel like it's always been there? We just feel it now that we're in this part of life.
I think everything spreads faster. That's a fact because of technology. Yeah, and stuff like that. So the fact that we know the next day about a new business that started in California,
Yeah.
ChatGPT or something like that, we know of it, and we're on the East Coast. Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. Technology definitely
Yeah.
is
So like
exponential.
during
to that.
during this time that this book was written, still newspapers. So just imagine how long it will take for a newspaper to pick up a story. So it's like 3 days. The local newspaper will publish it, and it will basically get picked up and like travel across the country.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So the fact that everyone is more visible means that everyone is more visible to criticism.
Vulnerable.
I don't know if vulnerable is the word. I almost said vulnerable, and I'm like, probably not vulnerable.
I think it is. I think that people are vulnerable to the criticism of social media. Like like we post this podcast or something, people could be out there and they're like, why are they doing that? And putting in terrible comments and whatever, like, this sucks, this is terrible, you should just stick to your day job. You hear that a lot, like, stick to your day job. But really, you're putting yourself out there with something new that is open to criticism. And to me, that's like the very definition of vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it is. You're vulnerable to it, but you need to block that out. But that's the fear.
Yeah.
That's that fear of criticism.
Yeah. I actually have a like really apparent true life story, which I've seen. I have a really good friend, and he started like business right out of college.
Yep.
So he's in the armed forces. He started a tiki boat.
That's
right
cool.
out of college.
That's awesome.
And all this cool. People are like, whoa. But obviously, he posts his social media. He posts it on Facebook, trying to get more people to come and get on his team.
Yeah.
But like half a year after that, bought a big trailer, massive trailer, and by the way, he built this tiki boat from scratch. Like he just had the base, the float or the raft or whatever it's called. And then he built like the whole like tiki table.
That's awesome.
No, it's sick. But took 6 months later, and I might be stand corrected, but he already paid off his tiki boat from the revenue he made.
Wow.
Within 6 months. So he bought a big trailer and made an axe throwing cage out of it.
Yeah.
So you go in and throw axes, and basically built that. And because we're like in a group of friends, I literally saw people criticize him, like, "What are you doing? Like, focus on one thing. Like, why are you building like an axe throwing? What are you gonna do with that?" Like, all this criticism, because we'd like post this on Instagram,
Yeah,
and like Facebook, and he's just like, I want to like build things, and what ends up happening is people see it as like valid business. They like bought it at like triple the price you bought, because they see it as like a business, like brand. They would buy the business.
Yeah, he had customers, and they're like, we want those customers, so we'll buy it.
Like, I distinctly remember like having a conversation with my friend where they're like criticizing him, like, what do you mean? Like, he's making more money than what me and you have in like 3 months combined.
Yeah.
Just from building this thing and then selling it. And like, it's on his own time. He loves handiwork. All of that. Like,
yeah,
he's working for himself.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that.
But like, literally seeing everyone be like, "What are you doing?" Like, dude, just like focus.
But yeah, those are the people that are, you know, blindsided and have tunnel vision on just the mundane, the everyday. Like, it's honestly, I think it's jealousy. Like, I'm stuck in this 9 to 5, and I go to work, and I'm like, oh man, this stinks. And he's out there on a freaking tiki boat, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? When really, I think that they wish they were on a tiki boat. I wish I was on a tiki boat right now. Like, yeah. That'd be awesome. No matter what I was doing, I wish I was on a tiki boat. Yeah, you're right. It is cold. But no, like, that's incredible. But yeah, everyone's critical of the people that go outside the ordinary, outside the straight and narrow. Weird,
because I want to add to that. You said everyone is critical of the people. It's so interesting to me that like everyone is almost most critical of their friends. Which is like odd. Like, surely like people should be, if you're my friend.
Yeah.
Like, if I would reinvent friendship, I would like write it as, if you're my friend, you have to support me.
Yeah.
What I do.
And surround yourself with good people. Like, I mean, I think I'm pretty lucky in that sense. Like, I at least it hasn't come back to me. But my friends,
it rarely does.
Yeah, true. That's true. I like to think that I surround myself with good people, but I agree. Like, if you're my friend or whatever, you should be like, oh, that's awesome, or give constructive criticism. You know, I'm not opposed to that either. We talked about it last week on the podcast about having those hard conversations where people say, you know, hey, I don't really like what you're doing here. Like, let's talk about it. But it's constructive. It's coming from a place of love. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
All about the love for the person.
Yeah. But if you're just
not for criticizing for a laugh, gag.
Yeah, you're just criticizing them because you didn't think of it first, or you're not doing it and you're stuck in a 9 to 5 or something. Or you don't understand it. Exactly. So that's definitely a big one. The fear of criticism. They talk about it in this book. Actually,
also,
is that all the fears? Because I feel like all of them are in here. Okay, go through all the fears. Because I think they're all just in here as well.
Really?
Yeah.
So the next one, number 3, is the fear of ill health.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also there, like, it also plays you have a sore throat in them.
Yeah.
So keep like repeating that to yourself. It goes back to like it is what you think that matters.
Yep.
So people like talk themselves into being sick so that they can't do other things. So it becomes an excuse.
Yeah.
Then the fear of loss of love. That's some breakup. Been there.
Not to get personal on the podcast.
Anyway.
But I mean that's true too. Like you want to be with someone who has the same passion, or like at least pushes you in a passion that you love. We talked about friends, but significant others are the same way.
Or they're more important.
Yeah,
honestly.
because if they're taking you down, then
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Then the last two is the fear of old age. Again, all of them have like a couple of different meanings. This one, for example, how many times have we heard like, I'm old.
Yeah.
Can't run. My back hurts. Feel old, and that plays into. This was written in like, I don't know when. Someone fact check me. Like quite some time ago.
Yeah.
And then it also plays into getting old, but you're afraid of your future.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know if this is because of the time that we're in, but old is getting younger and younger. I swear, like people are like, I'm done with college. I'm so old, and it's like you literally have your whole life ahead of you. You have so much to look forward to, so much to save up for, and people are like, I gotta put money into my retirement account. What about today? Like, invest in yourself. Invest in something that you believe in that can help you now. To then, you don't even have to worry about retirement. You'll be retired by the time you're 30. Like, people don't think that way though. I don't know. I think there's a lot of people that aren't thinking like that.
Instead of placing anything in your 401k, because it's not like life insurance or like health insurance. If you put anything in your 401k, for example, you could be placing that into your business. It could retire you by like 30 instead of 65.
And you can't touch that money. Like you're gonna get fined so much if you try to take that money out.
Sure, I'm honestly gonna lower my after this.
I've convinced him.
You really have.
But yeah, I mean, if you take that money and put it into something you have a passion for, and who's to say that that's not gonna, drive you to something that lets you retire by 30? And if it doesn't, and you fail within the year, oh no, you're 26 instead of 24 or 25 when you did it. Okay, you tried and it failed, but that's okay.
Yeah,
and then
only 3 more.
Yeah, but like you have the rest of that time to build that back up. Like when you're young, you should be taking these risks. I wish I took more risks in like starting a business and stuff when I was younger. But not to say I'm too old now, because we just talked about that. But I'm just saying, like even younger. I wish I was even younger when I tried like pushing something into a new business or a startup or just an idea that could have maybe propelled me further now. But yeah, I don't know. Everyone says they're getting old. I'm too old for this or whatever. I'm just like, you have your whole life ahead of you. There's a lot to.
That's so true.
There's a lot of money to be put into yourself still before you even have to really.
Yeah. How much of your paycheck?
A lot goes into my 401k.
Oh. Goes into you.
Something else they talk about in the book.
Like 0, probably.
Last month, yeah. No, it's one thing that I do try to implement is pay myself first. So there's bills and there's everything else, but I do try to make sure that I'm setting aside a specific for myself.
To do what?
Save it, I guess. But now I need to do something else. I want to, like, this book has inspired me to try to break away from the average Joe. But I can't do that. I mean,
4 months.
but I mean, I just finished it today, so it's not like I can implement it right away. Same thing with 7 Habits. Like, over time, you gotta try to build that into your daily life.
All right. Well, the last fear it was talking about is the fear of death. And I mean, this is a very common fear. It's everywhere. It's pigeons and stuff. But he seems to summarize, or at least I got the feeling is like, you're gonna die. Just stop worrying about it.
I mean, yeah, it's
like,
true.
That's how I felt like he was explaining it. Like, yes, spend time and figure out if there's an afterlife and stuff like that, and if you're living in hell, stuff like that. But not supposed to be it.
Yeah.
Find your way.
Yeah, they spoke about actually, like, what was it? I don't want to mess it up because it was a good quote. It was something to the effect of people dream of going to heaven, because most people dream of being rich but are terrified of losing money. That was why I was comparing it to the fear.
Go, pocket money.
Sponsored by DraftKings. Okay, so it starts with the motivation, desire. Yeah.
Desire. Which about Barnes, Edison, obviously. Crazy thing. It was like an Elon Musk. Wanted to work for him. But this Barnes guy, he said, like, I don't want to work for Edison. I want to work with him, and I'm going to. But so I don't remember where exactly, which cities there, but basically Barnes was, and he had to like get to Chicago for picking too. But he had nothing. Literally had nothing. But he said, has this desire, he is going to. So he started walking and hitchhiking, trying to find a way because he didn't have enough money to pay for a bus or
Yeah.
to get to the same city, Edison. When he got there, got to his offices, walked up to his offices, said, like, I am here to work with Thomas Edison. And well, that's how Thomas Edison. Secretaries, he basically had like a company. Was him. It was like pretty famous.
Yeah.
But apparently this guy just kept saying, like, I'm here to work with him. Turns out, got rejected. But he would like come back. So they ended up like giving him jobs, desk job,
Yeah.
working for us. But he kept striving and desiring to work with him. So he basically like worked his way up until Thomas Edison saw him. Oh no, the story was Barnes. Thomas Edison was trying to sell like a type of radio or something that used like a cell phone. I wasn't too sure when, but it sounded like a radio. He was trying. This is the first where you can out any cable communicate.
Like a walkie-talkie?
Yeah, like over the air.
Yeah.
And Barnes is like, hey, like, this is crazy cool. Can I please have permission to go and sell these? So basically, Edison, we call it investors. Yeah, like Circle said, like that.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm mixing up. Anyway, but basically, he ended up working for Edison because he was selling all of it.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the guy
Working with Edison.
Yeah, working with Edison.
Yeah.
So it became Barnes and Edison. Anyway, but the whole story goes down to desire, and here is the start of which I think begins with like something definite. You need a definite a definite goal, definite amount. You need to say to yourself, for example, I want to make $10,000 by March 1st.
Yeah, something that's measurable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the second step to it, you need to define what you're gonna give. Get that. Nothing is free.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to find out if it's time, if it's resources, if money. You give something to get from it.
Yeah.
Then he explains that after that you need to set a definite date. So definite amount, find what you're gonna give, then definite date, March 1st. Then you need a definite plan of how you're gonna execute it. So how you're gonna make this money. Selling microgreens. Or for example, and then there's two more I wrote down later in the book, like I said. But it was so interesting how he goes with this desire, making it definite. Biggest desires that there are, or examples of desires, for people burn the bridges, like boats. Like if you really want something, you need that kind of one.
Yeah.
In order to, because the riches never make you rich.
Wow, that's a good quote.
Yeah.
The wishes for.
Loki.
I mean, it's still a good
quote. Yvonne Fair, 2023.
It's still a good quote. I mean, it's true. Like, just hoping that you're going to become rich, or sitting there on the couch watching a basketball game, saying, "Man, I wish I was rich like they are." That's not going to do anything for you. You need to go out, get one foot in the door and try to do it. See what happens. You never know what you're going to excel at and what you're going to succeed at.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting point that you brought up about what you're going to give. Because one thing that's talked about in the book, and this is actually the part of the book that they quote, or they mention Think and Grow Rich, is...
Oh, so this book was written before that one?
Yes.
Oh.
I had to have been, because it was in the book. It did say, like, Think and Grow Rich, so had to have been. But
that's interesting.
What they say is think and learn and go get jobs that you're going to learn at rather than make money. Like, go out and learn woodworking. And then take that knowledge, go to somebody else, give them woodworking tips, and maybe they'll give you something in return that's towards your goal. So one example that they give in here, which I know I said in the beginning that they didn't give a lot of examples, but I've given a lot of examples from the book. So I don't know. It didn't seem like it at the time when I was reading it. So I don't know. But the example that they give is this writer. She wanted to become a best-selling author, and she's like, I went to school for this. I have a master's degree in writing or something, and I work for the paper right now because I just like writing, but I'm writing my novel on the side. And the guy was like, well, go take a class on sales. Like, what? Why would I do that? I'm trying to become a writer, and I'm a great writer. And she's getting mad at him because he's suggesting that she goes and learn sales. And because she's like, that's insulting to me. I'm a great writer. People should buy my book. And he's like, well, they're called best-selling authors. She gave an example of somebody, and he was like, best-selling, not best writing. So, and she got really mad at the end of the whole story. She just got pissed. But it was interesting because it was, you're a great writer, but you're missing a key component that's going to make you successful. And in order to do that, she needed to learn sales. She needed to learn marketing. She needed to learn how to actually execute her plan. It's not just, I'm a great writer, people should buy it. Nobody knows about you. You need that second component. You need to learn a new skill in order to make a whole product, the whole package. And it's interesting of, what am I going to give to somebody to get something in return, or what do I need to learn in order to make myself succeed? And the example of, learn woodworking, go to somebody else, give them woodworking advice, or go build them a cutting board or something. Maybe they'll give you $200 that you go and use that $200 to finance your next rental property or something something like that. But it's all those things of learning versus just working for money.
Yeah. So I have a comment that this book does learning.
Mm-hmm.
But I first want to correct myself.
Okay.
So it was Marcomi, friends by this mental hospital, because said he has a way to communicate, and they honestly tried to commit him
Wow.
to a mental hospital. Again, it's the friend.
Yeah.
I criticize. He just said no. I'm perfectly fine. Like, that's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, like obviously he couldn't say like, no, it's gonna be a radio, or it's gonna be like, it's exactly the best way that he had to describe it was, I know a way to talk through the air. I think that's where some of the criticism comes from too. Like, people don't know how to describe what they're actually planning. I think it's a little bit easier now because there's so much technology out there, but just imagine like back in the day and someone says, I can talk through the air. The earth is not flat. Like, all these things that are like, they sound preposterous. Like, what today would you say like would sound preposterous? I don't even know.
AI taking was preposterous 5 years ago.
Yeah, I know how to do machine learning.
What those words? Topic on surrounding yourself. But says you need a that you surround that has expert.
In multiple things. Yeah. That's what I wrote here. More.
He was actually like he was against education.
Yeah.
He's like, it's worth the amount it is because they put a price on it, so you desired it.
Mm.
So, if education was free, no one would do it because it's free. Because it's worth as people want to buy it to feel like that much.
That's really interesting.
Right?
That that hits hard for
says,
anything, not just education,
no,
but like
he gave a prominent example, which I feel like still exists. People still believe that most of the best high school in America are private Catholics. Whereas statistically, it does seem like there are many, if not most, of the best high schools in America are free public schools.
yeah.
But people still desire, if I'm rich enough, I'm gonna private school.
Yeah, wow. I mean that rings true for so many things like cars. There's so many cars that, don't have all the bells and whistles, but are more robust, will last you longer. But the price tag that comes with it is less, so it makes you feel that, oh, this isn't as valuable. In reality, it could be more valuable.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Or like Beats, AirPods, like Bose.
Yeah.
All of those
Because
brands.
of AirPods, it's worth more.
Yeah.
I have a pair of Vulcan.
Yeah.
More minor brand. Me, sounds better.
Brand. But you're poor because you have skull candy. Like that's the way people think. It's really bad, actually.
So, getting back to topic of surrounding self, I think the mastermind principle. He says, and here's another example of Ford. I believe, don't quote me on this. Sounded like Ford, some screw trial. He was in trial and opposing lawyer was asking him a question. How much general knowledge do you have? So he's like, how many soldiers? The Battle of Britain. Ships. What does this do? Blah blah blah. What does that do? Like all these common knowledge questions. Some of it more specific to like cars, stuff like that. And in the middle of the trial, this is paraphrased. Like, I feel like I've had enough of your silly question. I have a desk with button that would directly connect me to people with the knowledge to answer all of these. I do not want to fill my head with all the nonsense of this general. Or that's paraphrased.
Yeah.
But
I think I understand what you're saying.
Is saying is there you need knowledge,
But you don't need all of it
but
to yourself.
You don't need all the specific knowledge of everything in order to do something. So like it felt like you were saying don't spend routinous amounts of time, like way too much time.
I mean, that's why you have a trivia team. And it's not just, you just don't go by yourself. Like, you need a team.
Yeah, exactly. But like, don't spend like all your time learning how to code.
Yeah.
When it's better to go find a colleague who wants to work with you, not for you, wants to work with you.
Yeah.
And him being a master of the code, where you can just have a little bit of understanding.
Yeah.
Um,
That's really good. I don't think a lot of people do that. I
people
feel
don't
like
do that
I feel
on
like
purpose.
like you think they want to know everything.
Sorry, no. I don't think people have have the desire or like the motivation or the objective. That's what I'm getting to go out and make friends and find colleagues who have different skills in different spheres. Like if
Because they want to be with people that are similar.
yeah, like most of my friends are engineers because I was surrounded by engineers.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. But I mean, they also have different skill sets outside of engineering.
Yeah, yeah,
So that, I mean, that's like, or I mean, even if it's just engineering, you have different kinds of engineers that can do different specialties. So say you wanted to invent something that involves you know electrical systems. You have an electrical engineering friend, and then a mechanical friend, and then it's also a medical device, so you have a biomed person, and then boom, you have all those disciplines. But I get what you're saying about surrounding yourself with people that have or expertise or experts in different fields or different areas of subject.
So yeah, setting up this mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in this book, they talk about, like I said, the sales example, but also they say, like, the more specialized you are, the more trapped you are. So the more you go to school and you focus down into one area, like, okay, I'm gonna get a job in this, but I know nothing else. I don't know anything outside of this subject, so I'm kind of stuck. I can't do anything else unless I go out and try to figure out how to do other things. So they say, like, with education, sometimes people become more and more trapped the more education they get.
I see.
Because they're specialized. They're not getting education in, multiple different fields or multiple different subjects.
I see. Yeah. On this other note of like organizations stuff, which relates to the mastermind principle. He described it as the achievement will never be greater than a sound plan. Doesn't matter like how much a guy with a definite plan would most probably outdo you. Which is like,
You think?
Yes.
I guess it depends on if they execute.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know a lot of people who have plans.
Yeah.
But they don't execute.
No, like what he means, like he speaks this whole time about definite plan sound. Execute. But if you're like a motivated individual, a definite plan how you're gonna get things done, you're most likely to lead over someone who spent 6 years of their life post college doing a B.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, don't go to college.
Go to a free college.
Yeah, free college is great. Like, if you
I
could,
think it's great, but if it was free, you wouldn't.
I would do it. I think the counterpart to that is the exact thing that they talk about in the book is everyone does it. So I would do it.
You know there's free.
Yeah.
Python, coding, business.
Free courses that actually get you a degree. mean, that's the thing. Like, if
Google has hundreds.
Shout out
I know Google has completely free courses in multiple different fields that get you certificate, which is a degree.
Yeah, it's just the weight that society puts on it. Like,
It's free.
So if we were to go with a business route and it was, we need to figure out how to do sales or we need to figure out how to do engineering, we could learn that. But if we did that and did those free courses and whatever, getting an actual, like a 9-to-5 job or an average job would be impossible unless you worked from the ground up. Versus college gives you like the little boost to get through like the bottom level, like entry level. Redefines entry level.
Yeah. I actually had a bunch of things to say on this stack, but I don't know. I didn't retain it. I didn't associate with it because I already have too late.
Yeah.
But I remember the story you was saying of a guy he knew. Mom made him do a bunch of things, field work, blah blah blah. He had to go do some little projects. Didn't have a degree. But then his mom wrote like crazy resume, like basically a little journal book, like all these and that kid, like his mom did it for him and he did it with his mom now. But that kid went with no degree. He went out of high school into a managerial position at a company. So far, out like beating the entry level from college.
Mm-hmm.
And within 6 months was put as like acting CEO when CEO is away.
Because his mom forged a document? Or because...
No. So his mom made him do things. So his mom made him take like a little course here about like managing all these like free things and volunteering at like this company as a manager or stuff like that. Like I said, like I wasn't like paying too much attention because but this is like a rebuttal to saying is like gives you that entry. But yet if you can define your definite
You redefine.
Oh my gosh, no. What was in the document is they analyzed the business that he wanted to work for and all their competition, and they submitted some suggestions to improve the efficiency of the business as a addendum to his CV. And he was immediately put in his manager role.
That makes sense. Because
Yeah.
he gave advice on something that if they just saw him on paper, he wouldn't know anything about.
Yeah, he doesn't have a degree.
Yeah.
Well, what does he know about business?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think there's a lot of benefit to not going to college, or like there should be, because there's a lot. People know a lot more than they're given credit for, and they can learn so much. That's the thing. If there's anything that you learn from college, it's like the willingness to learn. At least that's what I got out of it. Like I can learn new tasks efficiently for the most part. And
I think if we take a look at you yourself, but what about all the other people in the class? They're the same.
No.
No.
No, I mean, I'm only speaking to myself, but I think, like, it's a willingness to learn. If you have that willingness to learn, you don't need college. You could go online, learn what you need to learn, and move on with your life.
Yeah, he also says like, if you have a willingness to learn, and the desire for this willingness to learn stops, your like progression will stop.
Yeah, that's what he says too. Is like, if I forget
That
the
book is a copycat of the.
Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki. You just copied Nathaniel Hill. What was it?
Napoleon
Hill. You just copied him. First edition, 1997.
I want to jump into a different topic, and the second chapter, or the second point of the book, is like titled "Faith," and how important faith is in becoming rich. But like it's prefaced with this example, like it was a proven study. It describes it, obviously, with like paraphrased again, but it talks about people wanting to do criminal activity, right? Generally, people never want to do criminal activities, want to be good, but when they're surrounded by the reports of criminal activity, they become used to it. If it keeps going on, the use becomes, I want to say, the negligence to seeing, or like you become blind to it, and becoming blind to it, you start like associating with it, like, yeah, why? Like if everyone steals anyway, why can't I just like take a bag of chips from them? And so it progresses. So he says like, because criminals are associated with crime. So if there's a lot of crime and you're exposed to it, like you are likely to do more criminal activities. He says you can gain faith by voluntary suggestion that one has faith.
Repeat that?
You can gain faith if you struggle with faith.
Yep.
You can gain faith by voluntarily suggesting to yourself. So it goes back to talking to yourself, basically.
Yep.
That you have faith. And this applies to like religious faith, and it applies to your faith in your company, the faith in what other people are doing, intrapersonal faith, blah blah blah, all of that. So, but he says like a faith is governed by like the dominant positive emotion. So it's like bringing that all together, he says that the people who have a desire for starting a job, making money, things like that, need to have faith that their desire or their actions is going to work. So you need to decide that it is going to work, and if you don't have faith that it will work, you need to tell yourself that you have faith that it will work, so that you gain faith by telling yourself you have faith. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, like you need to believe in yourself, and failure's not an option. So, like if you keep telling yourself this is going to work, 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 then in your mind you think it's going to work. Ergo, you're more likely to succeed. And yeah, I mean, if you think it, you can achieve it.
Yeah. So he talks about if you need to gain faith, you need to do voluntary suggestions that you have faith. But once your faith develops, it becomes involuntary,
Second nature.
second nature.
Yeah.
So like, I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna make $2,000 by March 1st, selling things online.
Yep.
Things online. I have desire to make this money. I need to do this. I need to give this much money to this charity this time of the year, blah blah blah. You have desire to do this, then you have to have faith that it will work,
Yeah.
and then like all these other steps, which was kind of interesting. It's yeah, I don't know. It's this is what I said. It's more. It's not like actual advice. It's not like go out and invest. It's about like you
How you think.
have to think.
Yeah.
And in this faith topic, he brings up this thing about the infinite knowledge. And he does speak about that you need to tap into the frequency of infinite knowledge. So this does relate to religions. He describes it as you need to tap into this infinite knowledge through faith and things like that. But I'm not sure, like, this is one part of the book. I don't know if I exactly understand what he's saying. So this is like one aspect of the formula when I'm like, yeah, I need to read this again.
Yep.
Like, I do not exactly have everything what he said. Like, I feel like I have some little things of the Carnegie formula,
Yeah.
but not all of it.
Which is fair. I mean, said you probably wouldn't get all of it in the first go.
Yeah.
So.
And he also said to read a chapter a week.
Yeah, we didn't do that. The last thing that I kind of wanted to bring up, and the last point in the book that I find meaningful, there's a few more that I don't think that they're the end all be all. But this next one definitely hits home for a lot of people, is assets versus liability. So where people get or people are misled by governing bodies, by the IRS, by by banks, by people giving you loans. They say list your assets. People list their car, their home, their cell phone, their AirPods, whatever they've bought. They're not assets. They're liabilities.
Yeah.
You bought them, they depreciated. You cannot make that money back. And they put it in a really good way in the book that I think would be helpful to a lot of people. Is assets are things that put money in your pocket. Liabilities are things that take money out of your pocket. So if you go and buy a home and it's just for you and your spouse, you go and buy that house, that money's gone. Yeah. The odds that your property is going to appreciate is, it could happen, or you could get a crash, like a housing crash, and now it's not worth anything.
Yeah.
But it's not it's not an asset, really. It's a liability. Going out and buying a new car, liability. You lose 25% or it's worth less than. What am I trying to say?
No, as soon as you drive off the
as
lot,
soon as you drive off the lot, it's
25%
less.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. But it's not an asset. So things that people identify as assets are really liability, and it's a huge misconception, really. So I think that
he brought like cars up there. A car could be like, it can be.
that was my next point. Is the one thing the book doesn't talk about that I think it should is how to make your liabilities into assets.
Yeah.
So they do talk about rental properties and stuff like that, but they just call them assets. Like I think like if I bought a car, maybe it's used, maybe it's new, whatever. Either way, they're considering it a liability. But then I start doing DoorDash. Now it's an asset because I wouldn't be able to DoorDash in the suburbs without a car. Maybe I could do it on a bike. Maybe, yeah. But it becomes an asset that way. Like and that money from DoorDash, maybe I pay off the car. Now that's free. That car was free now because it paid for itself. Because I was able to do DoorDash. So it doesn't really talk about how to turn liabilities into assets. But just that point of assets are things that bring money into your pocket, and liabilities are ones that take money out of your pocket. Is something that I don't think everybody quite grasps. And so I think people should take a minute and just think about what they have. What have they bought in the last 6 months? Was it an asset? Was it a liability? What was the purpose of it? And can you turn that into something that's going to make you money?
Yeah. I think the big ones, assets are house.
Yeah.
Okay.
A phone.
I don't think everyone's. This is.
People trying to get loans I think they can claim like their computer, that like they can claim a lot of things. I think so. I mean, I could be wrong. Fact check me.
Yeah.
But I think people can claim a lot of different things as assets when it is basically like your high value items. Because
That's what I'm thinking.
You could sell them.
I think a computer could also be an
asset in the correct way, or asset in actually
you could make it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's definitely a liability, generally, but it
could be. I mean, you could be a Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
And your PC
or have a podcast.
Shout out Blur the Lines.
But I think another big one is camera.
Yeah. 100% could be an
people
asset.
Think hoping photography. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I mean, like, if
But
you put the effort in, you can make it into an asset. If you put the effort into becoming a Twitch streamer, you can make it an asset.
Yeah.
If you put the effort into, making your car work for you and make you money somehow, maybe you buy a junker car and you learn how to fix it up, and then you open your own shop.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you can find a way to make money doing that. A camera, I definitely think you could turn that into an asset. But it's hard work. None of it's easy. I'm not gonna say any of it's easy.
What I'm saying, I think camera, like a car, it's.
Yeah, no, it's a liability until you turn it into an asset.
Camera.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway, another topic that I want to hit on. Got a lot. Sessions. What about chapter promptly and effectively states again back. Everything in this book relates to each other. Best way to make a decision is promptly and stick to it, but it is informed. Best way is with the mastermind, having a collective group of people, and then you make a decision. And he brings it back to he uses Ford as a really big what do you call it, case study in a lot of different, but he was talking about the V8, right? So
Okay.
for a couple of years, Ford's like, he told his engineers, I want an 8-cylinder engine block in a single cast. So casted metal block. That's gonna be the future of cars. And for years, his engineers told him, that doesn't exist. That's impossible. We can't do it. Possibly. Every time you'd come back to check in, they're saying like, we're still struggling. Possible, we can do it. And he would decided, I want it, have it, go back to work. For a couple of years, and like obviously one day
it happened.
this V8 happened, and at the time the most powerful engine that there basically ever was. Just because it was persistent in saying that he wants it and he will have it because of the decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you say like deciding promptly and effectively, because the first thing in the book, the first thing I talked about, Mike and Robert, them trying to get the job for 10 cents an hour, he was like, I'll give you this job for 10 cents an hour and you work three hours a week every Saturday. Are you in? And they're like, are you in? Make the decision. And that was going back to the opportunity. So he said, opportunities come and go. You need to be ready to decide as soon as they come. So if you're not ready to say yes to an opportunity, it's going to pass you by. So you need to be ready. You need to be ready with your answer and say, the next opportunity that comes to me, I'm going to take it. No matter what it is, I'm going to take it. Or it's going to be right in front of me and I'm going to say, make a decision. Yes.
Yeah.
I guess it is the rich man mindset of opportunity, go for it, or let's not, or whatever.
Decisions. Yeah. He does say, again, leading back to them, that in unity there is strength. Like, example, have you ever tried to have 3 different people make them work together? Hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it is balancing unity. There is a lot of strength. Then you also refer to the Bible. But going to the decision, in this union, in the decision, if there's a definite goal and you create a definite plan, that's how you make a definite decision. So a decision isn't just like, like, it's okay, like, we're doing this because this, and we're doing it this way. You
almost like have a plan for the decision. But quickly.
Does
he mention about speed, or is it just,
he says,
because you said promptly?
It does say promptly, but I don't think he says, here's the information, make a decision. I think he promptly, do not spend a week deciding whether you're gonna send the parts to get derusted or not. I
mean, I think that depends on the opportunity. So in this case, it was, do you want this job or not?
Yeah. Yes
and so I think promptly is up for interpretation depending on the situation.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, yeah, definitely.
Like promptly could be 10 seconds, or promptly could be, sleep on it, and it's still you can make a plan that night and go in the next day and say yes.
I interpret promptly as not let me sleep on it, but it's let me spend the time to get the information I need to like consult who I need to consult, and then I'll answer you.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's like you want to work Saturday, the only person I need to talk to, me. Am I can I work Saturday? Yes. Okay. But if it's like a big business, $1 billion whatever, do not waste time. That's how like I interpret. But promptly it means here's the information. Make the decision as soon as you have contacted or whatever.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, when I say sleep on it, like, you're working to figuring out the answer to the decision that day. And but you're not making a rash decision. Like, you're still working on it that night and figuring out a plan, maybe sketching something out if it's a design or whatever it is. Like, you're actively working on it, and you're not, to what you just said, like, wasting time in between when you were asked and the decision.
The other thing that I want to hit on.
You seem really happy about this one.
It's because this is one thing that I'm guilty of.
Okay.
Right. And there's indecisions, like make decisions, do it like that. He says, all the best people, or what you should do, you should tell the world what you intend to do. Right? If you want to start a business, or if you want to do anything like that, you should tell the world what you intend to do. But first, you should show it.
Yeah.
So like.
Okay, so this is where I thought you were going with that.
Personally, like I'm like, yeah, like I'm starting a podcast.
Yeah,
like,
but you haven't done it.
But I haven't posted.
Yeah.
Or I'm starting like this business, doing this, I'm that. I haven't shown it first.
I know. I do that all the time. I'm definitely guilty of that.
Yeah.
And I try to refrain, but people are like, "Oh, what are you up to?" And I'm just like so excited about the new ventures and like new things that are happening that I'm trying, that I'm testing out, and I'm like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And a week later, hey, how are these going? Oh yeah, I didn't do that. Like, I think it's building what am I trying to say? Building personal, like showing yourself you can do it before showing other people. So like if I want to start going to the gym, go to the gym for 2 weeks in silence. Then you've shown yourself you're doing this for you. You're not doing it because other people are like, hey, you should be going to the gym, or like, oh, you told me you're going to the gym, or it's cool to go to the gym, whatever. You're doing it for you. And then you can show, I've gone to the gym 2 weeks. I like it. I'm enjoying it. Let me tell somebody about it because they asked me. But yeah, do it in silence before blasting it out to the world or to your friends or anything. I think that's good advice.
You need to be persistent.
You need to be persistent, but by yourself. Like self-motivation. I guess for you and I, it's a little different. Like we're kind of bouncing off each other to make the podcast, but it's still like, I don't know. It's self-motivation. Like we're not shouting it from the rooftop. Everyone go check this out. Like we're just showing that we can do it.
I've told a couple of people I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah, but I mean, a couple people
we haven't released any.
We released the one last week.
It's not on. It's not live.
When we post this one, it will be.
Eh.
Delete this segment.
No. Honesty is key. But like, yeah. So persistence is another thing that's like the hardest for me, and that's the next chapter, actually, of this book. I literally made a note that like this is probably the hardest part for me. I have started like all these little right now.
Yeah.
But like to persistent,
That's hard.
hard.
It's very hard.
It's really easy to burn with desire, but you're nothing. You're a heap of grass. You burn away and it's gone.
Yeah.
But this book describes persistence as the insurance to failure.
What do you mean by that?
So if you're persistent, you're basically paying yourself insurance against failure. So you know how you take a car insurance, because if you drive the car, you can crash.
Yep.
So being persistent with something is basically taking out insurance of you failing. Like the chances of you failing are less
Yeah.
if you're persistent,
Yeah.
which I thought was pretty cool. That's
I mean, it's true. Like,
yeah.
just stick to it.
I mean, like, even what's that? KFC, Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
Didn't he try and sell his recipe to hundreds of?
Did he?
Yeah, I believe so. Someone fact check me, but I believe it's literally like hundreds of people. He said like, "This is how you make my chicken. These are my secret spices," and no one wanted 100.
Huh.
And at the end, it was like the 101 or something, like something cliche like that, or the story is like 101. Someone bought multi-billion-dollar company, the whole world.
That's funny. I didn't know that. Again, criticism.
Or
People just don't. They're just like,
maybe
it's chicken.
it's just like a story people tell. But
Maybe
it's
I
like
don't
the
know.
story I've ever heard.
Maybe I don't know.
Or
Couldn't tell
you've
you.
heard of Edison and his light bulb?
Yeah.
Or how many light bulbs he made?
What?
He tried like hundreds of times.
Oh yeah.
To make a light bulb.
And couldn't.
Couldn't. But he was persistent. Yeah. I'll skip that section. Basically, like, goes deeper into. What this book does really well is it numbers like key things to section 1, 2, 3, 5.
Yeah.
This.
That's one thing I just don't think this book has. Quite has. Like, it has its categories, its lessons, as they're referred to in the book. But I don't think it breaks it down enough. I think it's, this is it. I'm going to repeat this for a whole chapter. And then this is it. I'm going to repeat this for the whole chapter. And then 3 chapters later, I'm going to talk about that same thing. So I like that breaks it down like that. Like, persistence. This is what it is. This is how it pertains to
Yeah, or it comes back to that the first, like what I said about
taking it little by little.
they have a definite goal, have like the time frame, have what you're gonna give. So those 6 steps basically get. And he says it in different ways. It's synonyms.
Yeah.
He's using synonyms. That's what I'm saying. I think that might be Carnegie. Might be. Maybe there's some. But then he says also big enemy in your life, and I don't it was inconsistent at all of them, but he says the biggest enemies of persistence is failure.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is procrastination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not getting started, just pushing it off.
But
So easy to do.
unfortunately, like I didn't write down the rest, so it's not on top of my head right now. But I think the fifth one, is the lack of definite purpose. Again, this like almost your goal, or like that your desire, your like first. And he prompts this question, and like I want to ask you this question, because he says people reply to this in a specific way.
Oh boy. I hope I don't fail.
And the question he says to ask is, what do you want most in life?
That's a fully loaded question. Am I failing?
Oh, yeah, there's really no failure.
What do I want most in life? I don't know, just happiness. I just want to be happy, and like, I don't know. And that's successful to me. Like, as long as I don't need to worry about people,
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm gonna add one thing to this, and I have to say, what do you want most in life right now?
Right now, what do I want most in life? Right now, I want to figure out a way to make more money. Like,
Okay.
I feel like I want to make a difference, like with this podcast, and I think I'm bettering myself by doing that. But I think overall, the goal right now is to like launch pad a way into a financially stable future, but quick.
Yeah.
What about you? Let me.
No.
Oh yeah, let's flip it around. Let's see what you say.
No, I answered this question to myself too.
Yeah,
and
we'll answer it to everyone else too.
the next sentence of this is that he describes as, people don't have definite plans, which lacks purpose. And so because you don't have a, like you answered, but me too, when I read the book, there's no definite plan.
I don't have a plan of like by Friday I'm gonna do this.
There's probably not even a plan what you're gonna do in 3 years.
There's probably not even a plan of what I'm gonna do tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what he's saying is, this is probably one of the biggest enemies. People do not have definite plans, which basically makes them lack a purpose. And because there's no purpose, it's hard to be consistent or to do anything.
Yeah.
Or to be persistent, and that all just ends up in like not achieving, becoming rich.
Yeah, I mean, me thinking about that question just showed it right there. Like I don't have a definitive plan of by 2026 in April I'm gonna be buying a house that's worth this much money, and I'm gonna like.
Yeah.
I don't know. The goal is loose right now, and I think, I do think that that's a problem. Like, how are you supposed to attain something that's literally unattainable?
It's only unattainable if it's not.
No, it's unattainable because there's no definition of its attainability. Like, you can't put a finite number on it. So
On what? Sorry, what are you talking?
Like, my plan is unattainable at the moment.
Oh, because you have no plan.
Correct. Because there's no finite value that I'm trying to save up to if we're talking about money. Like there's no
Yeah, okay, I understand. Yeah.
there's no date that I'm trying to work towards. There's no final motive. Like there was something that we learned about in college, and it was like making goals for yourself, and they should be they should have a timeline and be attainable and have a definitive number or value associated with it. And it's very similar to this, where we need a plan, and it's got to be something that you can stick to and something that you can actually achieve or try to achieve right now. Loose.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now that you've had time to think about it, now that you finished the book, you had this question prepared for me. What have you come up with a definitive plan?
No.
Have you thought about it anymore? How come?
Because life happened.
What?
The book was finished.
Yeah.
And it's which
I'm surprised there wasn't. I feel like that would have like I read that and I was like, damn, that's like
Yeah.
I don't have that. How do I get that?
no. So obviously, like I have other. Remember what he says is, tell the world.
Yeah, after you show the world.
Yeah. So there is plans, but
Definitive plans?
yes, kind of. I like set a goal for like March.
Okay. All right.
In my brain, but he does say like these things need to be written down. Like, and I was thinking like, even for this podcast, maybe we should have like a whiteboard or like a collage board.
Yeah.
Like the things we learned from each book and like put it on there.
Yeah, we could fill this wall with like sticky notes or something, and
Yeah.
it's just something that's like in the background. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Let us know if you think we should do that. We're gonna do it anyway, so I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
But no, that would be cool. Especially something I was thinking about as we're talking through this is, do you find it's kind of funny how much the books from last week like kind of roll over into this week? Persistence, like
Mine-
planning. I don't know.
Not that much. The habits for highly effective people.
Oh, your book from last week.
Yeah, sorry,
My 7 Habits
Jordan Peterson's 12 rules.
for life. For chaotic.
No, for fighting chaos.
It's something about chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 Habits was the better book for that week. It won in our poll on Instagram. But yeah, it's interesting how like they carry over. So it's like, be an effective person, be a rich person. They kind of seem like they're pretty hand in hand.
Yeah. By the end of this week, you should be effectively rich.
Maybe next week.
Um,
No, I definitely gotta put some plans in order.
Yeah. So here's the 6 steps, and like I urge people, you definitely Google like basically he's got 14 chapters, but I think it's mainly 6 steps. Like have a definite plan, for a purpose, desire, all of those things that I've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But where was it? He says later on, like the ending chapters, like, it's in the persistence chapter, I believe. He tells the reader that, you need to write all of this. You need to take all of this and write all of it down. Every single step. Like what your goal is, what your like purposes or why, like time, the exact amount, this. How are you gonna do it? Oh, what you're gonna give up? I forgot about that. What you're gonna give to achieve this goal, and then you need to summarize this in a single sentence that you have to repeat to yourself every morning and every night. You have to repeat it to yourself. This is how you build faith. This is how you build like internal consistency or things like that.
Yep.
This is how you're gonna be like consistent. How are you gonna think positively and achieve results on it? Then that sentence, I think he says, or what I got from it is, you need to bring that like the people who you trust. So your mastermind.
Gotcha.
So, like if you need other people involved in that, because he says power is literally organized effort or knowledge. So if you are powerful, you have organized effort or knowledge, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So Mohammed Gandhi, super powerful, has some knowledge, but he peacefully got thousands of people work together. Super powerful. Made an impact on, I think it was the British army that was controlling them at the time. Completely peacefully organized thousands of people, and in turn became like one of the most powerful people there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. But I feel like, coming back to the point, I feel like I can't leave this podcast without like setting a goal or setting something.
Yeah, we definitely need.
I feel like
it should just be post it. I feel like it should just be post it.
No way. There's no faith in that.
You don't have faith that we're gonna post it?
No. We are gonna post it.
Of course we will. Just like we posted the last one last week.
Yeah.
I think we should aim to hit. Yeah, we need the whiteboard. I guess not. All right. I think we should aim to have 100 subscribers by the end of January.
Subscribers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Just being more definite about it. This is
February 1st.
Oh, there's no date.
Why?
Because it comes later.
Oh, okay.
100 subscribers, and we're saying this is over everywhere where we're posting it. All platforms.
Okay.
Then the second step is what do we give up for this? Our time.
I was gonna say, is our time not enough? Does that count?
Yeah.
Okay.
How much time?
I think we should aim to do 6 hours a week.
6 hours a week.
Between recording and editing. And posting. I think that's reasonable.
Between the two of us?
Yeah.
3 each?
I mean, The podcast alone is 2 hours plus. So then it's like 4 hours of editing.
What was the next step?
A date. I believe so.
So, yeah, define the date.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
February 1st.
February 1st. That's the goal. It's a little aggressive, but I feel like if we don't make it aggressive, it won't happen.
Then, definite plan.
Is that not what that was?
How are we gonna get 100 subscribers?
Oh, this is.
Get what you give.
No. You buy AirPods for a lot of money because you think.
And we need
Sweatshirts.
console.
And we need to talk to people in our
we need to make
mastermind.
sweatshirts for everyone here.
Yeah, I think we need to make sweatshirts.
I gotcha.
I'm also definitely deleting this. This literally just gives away our entire plan for how we're gonna make this
It's
podcast.
okay. It needs to be somewhere.
Yeah, we'll save it on the computer.
Or backgrounds, ringtones,
Yeah.
alarms in the morning.
Rebrand. Rebrand.
Console.
Read a book. Read a book. Oh man. Read a book.
To you.
Why, you want to be able to read it?
Yeah. My handwriting. I think that's where we're gonna end our night tonight.
So thank you guys for listening. Again, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I hope I summarized it well, but I still recommend that you go out, purchase a copy, listen to it on audiobooks, listen to it on YouTube. Good book. I'd give it a.
No, I don't think we need to give numbers.
You don't think I should rate it?
No.
Okay. Just go out and you can rate it yourself.
I think most people would get different things from all these books.
I also agree with that.
Yeah. So like.
But I still
If
thought I was
I'm
gonna give my
it a
personal
super high
opinion.
number, but someone already applies all these principles, but they struggle with mental health. I don't know. Not gonna work for them. So I think I do think it's a personal thing, and I do think go read it.
Yeah.
Go find the links and go buy it.
Yeah, go check it out. We'll put the link in our description below. And Yvonne, what'd you read? How'd you like it?
Yeah. So Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Seems to me that is what your book was based off. So I encourage you to read mine first.
So if you want to read one chapter a week, go with his book. If you want to read the whole thing in a couple days,
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
So
That's our summary.
overall, a good book.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of principles that we know apply.
Yeah.
Common, not. But it's definitely something we need to apply to ourselves. Definitely worth it. And I definitely do believe that if you apply that, you would be better off.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you guys, and yeah, see you next week.
What's up, blurbs? If you made it to the end of this podcast, I just want to say thank you. You can find the books down in the links below. If you want to join us for next week's topic, we'll be tackling thinking. I'll be doing Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman.
And I'll be doing The Organized Mind by Daniel Levitin. Thank you for joining us today, and remember, stay curious, stay inspired, blur the lines.